Let's get to the very topic at hand, and that is hacking build versus buy automation. What are the factors that go into a build versus buy decision?
First is, how big is your company and what kind of staff are you going to be able to attract and retain in order to build automation or buy solutions at hand?
If you're going to hire a team to build internal automation tooling and invest that cost, if you're not prepared to maintain it, you're going to lose the value of that project and that investment over time.
If you're a large company and you're ingesting all of the data feeds you need, it's a kind of a natural step to start looking at what kinds of things can we now automate. If you're in a smaller company, I would be more looking at tools that I could leverage that have automation capabilities within them.
The way that we see a lot of companies today dipping their toe into automation, a lot of organizations are getting into and starting to use single sign-on, starting to use provisioning back and forth.
You really have to understand that you're going to set aside some work, low priority work, in order to improve your performance and your ability to respond and manage a growing security program.
I am Joe McManus, and I am the Chief Information Security Officer of Drizzly. Can you actually build secure and scalable software? Chesed mentioned you bring in a security engineer who starts whipping up some Python to glue some things together. But is that security engineer really a software engineer? Are you actually implementing the best practices that we preach to other people?
You bring on a software engineer into a security team. How do you make sure that that person is dedicating an X percentage of their time to your needs versus getting consumed in some other IT automation project?
We have Alan Alford, who is my co-host for the Defense in Depth podcast.
I'm one of the big believers that DevSecOps doesn't deserve its own title. Security should be so well integrated that we don't have to point it out as a separate thing. Where are you guys at with that DevSecOps versus DevOps debate?
We have a roughly 60-person team that's half engineering and product and design, but it has a heavy engineering presence. The way that we think about security in a secure software development lifecycle is just imprinted into the operations of the engineering teams. When we onboard engineers, we imprint that, like, here's how building stuff works at Aptable.
We have Siva. Siva, what do you got?
What are you trying to solve from automation? That is like the question number one, right? Categorizing the problem itself. Are we trying to automate people, process, technology?
I think the fundamental question you asked is, where do you start? You start with the boring work. Boring work is error prone. So you pick a well-defined, boring process and you automate it.
We are playing the Department of Yes game right now. IKEA version of automation, only pictures for the instructions.
We have a lot of people who are visual and kinetic learners, and they are underserved in the security space. We need pictures. We need more than just text, because I fall asleep reading some of these long run books and then I miss that.
I mean, the world is flat. Like, you have to be able to communicate to everyone, and being limited by picking just one language, it's too restricting. We need to think broader.
It's going to save on translation costs as well. Buy your automation only from countries on the terrorist watch list. Why do you want to do that?
Everybody needs friends. Look, I'm just saying, everybody needs friends in the spirit of, whatever, global world peace.
Is it fair for me to say that I think that's a fantastic idea? I would use that automation in my honeypot network, and then I would collect the intel and leverage that.
Bryn is asking a core question. What are the main factors to consider in the build versus buy conversation? How do you know it's simpler, not necessarily easier, to build if there's a small vendor somewhere that's doing exactly what you want perfectly, but you don't know about them?
I could probably search for years, but I've trained myself away from that. You have to understand the ROI. I would say you really shouldn't make that final decision until you've bounced off a few of your peers.
This question from Dustin Sachs. Is there a point where an organization can implement too much automation such that a diminishing return issue arises?
I haven't been part of an organization that's over automated. I think it's easier to end up where we've automated things and then the people who wrote it left.
A question from Ross Young, who's over the CISO over Caterpillar Financial services. What can be done to make sure we turn off support for automation that we maintain, like canceling bad software licenses? Any tips to help organizations get better at retiring applications as a core competency?
We just launched this week, we're launching our vendor management module. So
Yeah.
follow up on a lot of this stuff is like, you could do it with sticky notes. You could do it with a calendar reminder.
Build a machine learning tool to buy automation and hire people to manage the automation. Why do you want to implement that?
The first reason is I need something for the people to do once I've automated them out of a job. Make sure we keep everybody gainfully employed, as well as providing people incentive to continue to be useful. You're going to build some, you're going to buy some. At some point, you might have enough automation you want to consolidate it somewhere, but don't get too hung up on the build versus buy.
There's a lot of different ways to think about, automating compliance, automating security operations. I think one of the most helpful things is hearing actual stories from whether it's security teams, software engineering teams, IT teams, because I'm constantly surprised how you can start doing both pretty early.